What's up, guys? So we're gonna be going over Hundo Hunters Anything Goes Draft League, National Dex Draft, draft analysis. So this draft league has some very high tier Pokemon. So some examples might be like Miraidon, Koraidon, and Mega Rayquaza. All those Pokemon would like never be legal in any form of draft league, but Um, there are a lot of very high tier Pokemon. There's every single Pokemon legal in this draft league, so there is a lot of options. Um, so yeah, I'll just be going over my draft analysis, and before I go over this, um, I should say there are a few tiers of the restricted ones. So there's the really high tier ones, which are 35 to 33. Um, in those you can only have one of and no other restricteds. Then you have your second tier, which is, I believe, 30 to 28. And then you can pair that up with one low tier that is 21 to 20. It's either 21 or 22 to 20. I don't know, somewhere around there. Besides, let's just get into the actual analysis. For my pick number one, I decided to go with Yveltal, and the reason I did this is because it's all good into a lot of the restricted legendaries. So some examples of this might be like all the Mewtwo forms, including Mega Mewtwo X, which even though it's not weak to dark, it's weak to flying. Then it can also counter other Pokemon such as Koraidon with flying type moves. And there's just a ton of psychic type restricted ones. So yeah, overall it's just gonna be really good. Oh yeah, it also does good into Shadow Rider Calyrex. Um, its versatility, it can be used as a really bulky support Pokemon. Um, with like maybe leftovers, U-turn, Sucker Punch. Um, I don't know, Substitute Roost, something like that. Um, but it can also be like either Choice Specs or Choice Scarf. Um, so yeah, just a lot of options with it. It's cool. This doesn't really have anything to do with the actual power of it, but you're not gonna tell me a giant flying Deathbird is not cool, because in my opinion, I will just not believe you. Um, then some people might see this as a good or downside, but it can be like a mixed attacker since it has 131 in both attack stats, so it can be like Oblivion Wing and Sucker Punch, or I don't know, something else. But then the key moves we're probably gonna be using with this are Oblivion Wing, Sucker Punch, Dark Pulse, and U-turn. So for my pick two, this mana is very good with Terra, and you never think it'd be allowed to, but in this league it's allowed. So I'll take where I can win. Um, so for my second pick, I decided to go with Terra Iron Bundle. So Iron Bundle does great into almost all of the restricteds, and it is not a restricted itself, so it's very good. As Ice hits a ton of the limited Pokemon for super effective damage. And Freeze Dry also hits other stuff that it usually wouldn't, like Kyogre. Then Water can do some offensive presence into some ones. But then Terra Blast, I can tear into any type, and then whatever it is, I can just do that type. Anyway, the power 124 special attack is nothing low, so it's gonna be doing huge damage with that. its speed tier, in my opinion, might be the best one. As 136 is exactly 1 point above four very good Pokemon. That being Fluttermane, Qianpao, Miraidon, and Koraidon, which are four of the most broken not the well, maybe the four most broken, but four very good Pokemon come out of Scarlet and Violet. So glad to have that speed tier. And then it doesn't look like it would have this, but it actually has some pretty good physical bulk with not a with a low 56 HP stat, but a 136 defense stat. Then the key moves we're gonna be using with this is Terra Blast to select any type, Hydro Pump to do a ton of damage, Freeze Dry to hit water types that would usually resist it, and then Flip Turn to pivot out. For my pick number 3, I decided to go with Terra Ogerpon Teal. And Ogerpon, it's usually, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Pokemon. As it has just a pretty good attack stat, and then it has a ton of different items. Anyway, it's an amazing physical breaker because 120 attack stat is already amazing, like really good. Um, and then with that, it also has Ivy Cudgel, its signature move, which has a higher crit chance. So if anything tries setting up, I can use Ivy Cudgel, and then it's more likely to crit them. It has a really good move pool with stuff such as obviously Ivy Cudgel, um, Superpower, Play Rough, U-turn, Stomping Tantrum, Rock Throw. I don't know. But enough to hit a lot of stuff. That also has two very good abilities, and without Terra, it has Defiant, which means if its stat gets lowered by an opponent, it has its attack raised by 2 stages. So that's really good in case we like try to get intimidated. But also it has the ability, um, I don't remember, but basically if it Terras, it gets a +1 speed boost. So it's just faster than almost any Pokemon without a Choice Scarf. I mean, yes, there are some Pokemon like Regieleki and Regieleki, and I believe I tie with Deoxys Speed. Deoxys Speed might outspeed. I don't know, but besides the point, it's gonna be really fast after it Terras. And then key moves are gonna be Ivy Cudgel, U-turn, Swords Dance, and Stomping Tantrum. Just some good coverage and setup. Now, we have one of the Pokemon I mentioned earlier with Iron Bundle, and that is gonna be our second restricted in Fluttermane. Um, Fluttermane is a fairy type, and that means it's gonna be a fairy and ghost type, which means it's gonna be amazing into most legendaries, as Dragon and Psychic are the two most common legendary typings. Really good stats. It has huge special attack, huge special defense, huge speed. A great move pool. Has like Power Gem, Mystical Fire, I believe Energy Ball, and some other stuff. Then people think it's like, oh, all you do is either Booster Energy, Choice Scarf, or Choice Specs, or Life Orb, or Focus Sash. But no, you can like run. If you want, you could run like a more bulky set with like Calm Mind setup, and maybe Booster Energy Speed to just go really fast and hit really hard. But there are a few options for each thing. Key moves are going to be Moonblast, which hits really hard on the fairy type side. Mystical Fire, which lowers the opponent's special attack. Shadow Ball, just some more good stab. And then, like I said before, Calm Mind for setting up. For pick number 5, we went with Heatran. With Heatran, we completed the Firewater Grass Core with Ogerpon, Iron Bundle, and Heatran. So, Heatran is a Steel and Fire type, and I kind of felt like we needed a Steel type at this point because we had a few glaring weaknesses. To I believe Ice was one of them, and then there's a few other ones, but Steel resisted a good amount of those. So we picked up a good Steel type. Like I was saying, has pretty good hyping. Um, Firepower, haha, so funny. But it has really good Fire type moves. Since this one again is not a restricted, the only restricteds were Fluttermane and Yveltal, which means I can no longer pick anymore. Um, but even without it, this is still a really good Pokemon. So I'm very happy I got to pick this up. And then it's really bulky, 91 HP, then 106 on both sides of defense is going to be able to eat a lot of hits. Key move is going to be Eruption for like probably Choice Scarf sets. Stealth Rocks to just get up hazards. Flash Cannon for a stab. Then Earth Power for coverage into typings. For pick number 6, we have yet another powerhouse of a special attacker, that being Latios. Latios is very straightforward, but also very good. So it's gonna be, its move pool is great. It has so much coverage. It has Bolt Beat coverage with Ice Beam and Thunderbolt. It has, I'm assuming, Energy Ball. I know it has Flip Turn. Then some other stab moves and setup moves that are just gonna be great for it. In my opinion, Latios is one of the best Pokemon to have Choice Scarf or Choice Specs with, as Choice Specs basically just makes it nuke anything with a huge 130 special attack stat, getting boosted up to, I think it would be around 15, almost 200 special attack, which is going to be absolutely bombing anything it hits. And then Choice Scarf, 110 speed is pretty good for a legendary Pokemon, comparing to like other base 100. But there's also mons that will definitely outspeed it, and Choice Scarf is there to help there. Setup Sweeper. It has the moves Calm Mind, just like Fluttermane. Also has the move Agility, which doubles the speed. Calm Mind obviously boosts special defense and special attack, but the move Stored Power does 20 more damage for every um stat boost that you have. So if you keep piling up and setting up, then it just becomes an unstoppable thing. Key moves are going to be like Flip Turn to switch out, Draco Meteor to bomb stuff, Luster Purge to bomb stuff, um, and then Agility just because I think has enough where I'm not going to be using Calm Mind a ton. Um, for my pick number 7, we have yet another legendary Pokemon being Registeel. Oh yeah, forgot one more thing with Latios. It also finishes out our Fairy Dragon Steel Core, because with Fluttermane and Heatran. Anyway, back to Registeel. It might seem weird picking another Steel type, but it and Heatran serves two completely different purposes. Heatran is there meaning to do big damage and threaten the opponent. Meanwhile, Registeel's more laid back and more supportive. So, Registeel is really just here to be a huge tank with 80 HP and a huge 150 on both sides of the defense. It can spread status around with both Toxic and Thunder Wave, so it can either slow Pokemon down or whittle them away. Um, and then if you're gonna be switching into a move, like let's just say Specs, Draco Meteor coming from a Rayquaza. You're gonna be wanting to switch into here because 150 special defense is gonna be able to eat that up and just absolutely, yeah, just destroy it. Um, Key moves here are gonna be Thunder Wave to slow opponents down and paralyze them, Stealth Rocks for chip damage, Iron Defense to boost our defense stat, and then Body Press to use our defense stat to attack. Pick number 8, a little out of the ordinary. We went with Pincurchin here. So Pincurchin is here to set hazards for the most part. It also has a good stat spread, so I can either on mix sets or special attacking or physical attacking sets with both 101 attack and 91 special attack, which aren't amazing, but they are not terrible by any means. Um, and the main reason I picked this was to enable Bundle, as Bundle gets a free Quark Drive boost when it switches in on electric terrain, which most of the time it's going to be speed, but sometimes I might want it to be special attack. It'll just boost its highest stat at the time. So this is mainly a support Pokemon again to help out Bundle and get some chip. Key moves are going to be Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Rising Voltage, which under electric terrain boosts up to a huge 180 base power stab move, which is just going to be doing a ton of damage to anything. And then Scald to Fish for some burns. Pick number 9, we have Hisuian Sneasel. Now, this might seem a little bit weird, but while I was going through my draft, I realized that I had very few physical attackers. I only had was Yveltal, Ogerpon, Pincurchin, and Registeel. And most of the time I'm going to be running Yveltal Special. So I needed a good physical attacker for a low amount of points. So Hisuian Sneasel is a really good physical attacker with 95 attack and 115 speed, which is a ton for a not fully evolved Pokemon. So I think it'll be interesting. Um, it's a pretty low tier Pokemon, as only being 4 points for stats like this are really good. And then good move pool. I didn't really expect it to have that great, but it has good coverage like X-Scissor, Throat Chop, then good stab moves. Key moves are going to be Taunt to to shut down set up Pokemon. Close Combat to just do a ton of damage, then Close Combat to do good damage as stab moves. Poison Jab to have a reliable stab move and not Gunk Shot that can miss. Then Throat Chop to cover Ghost types. And then for our final pick, it's kind of funny. We went with Terra Furret. I don't think we're gonna be bringing him, but for 1 point, I didn't really have a reason not to pick it. So the number one reason I wanted for it was just to get rid of hazards, because as of right now, I only had a ton of defoggers, which also gets rid of mine. So I don't love that. So I picked for it here to be able to remove that. It's gonna sweep a game, trust me. Maybe, hopefully, if it does not sweep a team by the last week, blame me. I'm sorry, but overall, I think it's gonna be a not bad hazard remover. And it has a pivot option and U-turn. So key moves, all it's gonna be really clicking is tidy up, U-turn, knock off, double edge. Um, it doesn't really have anything else that it would want to do. It might get tricks, so maybe choice scarf variants, but not really enough offense and not enough speed to use it well. So that's my whole team for AGDL. I think the team is amazing with all of its firepower, and I think this will be a very interesting season with all these broken Pokemon. So, hope you have a good day, and yeah, stay safe.